Hey guys, so this video is about functions. So this is a basic definition of a function. So in mathematics, we use the word function for any rule that produces one output value only for each input value. So the idea of inputs and outputs. So if you're to think of, just say this is a function. So just pretend this is a box. So it's like you're putting an input. So it's like you're putting an input into the box, and then out of it you get an output. So don't be too worried about the words input, output. So input is just something you put in, and output is something you get out. So I'll give you a real basic function, alright? So a basic function would be to times by 2, okay? So if I was to take the input then, so just say my inputs were 1, 2 and 3. So they're my inputs. So if I'm kind of putting them into the box then of multiplying by 2, so if I was to take the 1 and I multiply it by 2, well then my output for 1 would be 2, because 1 multiplied by 2 is 2. If I was to take the 2 and I'm multiplying that by 2, my output then would be 4. And then if I was to take the 3 and I multiply that by 2, my output would be 6. So we see here then that we get 1, for 2 we get 4, and then for 3 we get 6. So that's a real simple function. So we get one output for every input. So for every input we get one output. I mean, if I was to do 4, then I'd get as an input I'd get 8, and so on. So that's an example of a function. So a function is just basically doing something to a number that's going to give you an output. Right, some words then that you might not have seen before. So the word domain, that's another word for input. So that's all a domain is the input. It's the kind of list of inputs. So instead of the word input, use domain. And then range is the output. So range is just what you get out. So the domain goes into the function and the range comes out. Let's look at these two down here and just see if they're functions or if they aren't. So remember, what we're checking is that for every input we get only one output. Alright, so let's look at the first one here. So the input or the domain is A, and I get one output. I get D as my output. B then, my input is B, but if you look at B, I actually get two different outputs for B, because I've one arrow going to E and I've one arrow going to F. So there, that actually doesn't work then, because so that's not a function. So not a function, because I get two different outputs for one single input for my B. C is okay because C just goes to F, so I only get one output for C. Second one here, we're checking is there only one output for every input. So for the first one, that does check out because 1 only goes to 1. The second one here, 2 only goes to one output, okay, it only goes to 4. So there's only one output for the number 2, and also for minus 2 there is only one output for it. It's 4 as well. It doesn't matter that 2 and minus 2 both go to the same output, because there is still just one output for each number in here. So therefore, yeah, that is a function. So that's basically what a function is. If there's only one output for every input, then it is a function. Right, here's an example of another function. So a function is defined as, and this is just notation, don't be too worried yet about this kind of notation thing here. All it means is that the function, okay, so the function of x is 3x minus 2. So the function of x is 3x minus 2. So the domain of f is 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So basically what we're saying is that these numbers 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4, they're the numbers that we're putting into the function, and then we should get something else out of it. So the function really is this thing. So this is the most important thing, the 3x minus 2 part. So I'm putting each of these numbers into 3x minus 2. And then I'm just going to use substitution then. So substitution is hopefully something you'll have seen before. So I'm going to put the number, each of these numbers in. So I'm going to put 0 in for x here, and then I'm going to put 1 in for x, and so on down along. So if I put 0 in instead of x in there, in the first one, I'm going to get 3 multiplied by 0 minus 2, because, or you could put it in brackets if you want. So brackets just mean multiply. So 3 multiplied by 0 minus 2, and that would be 0 minus 2, which is minus 2. So that would be my range then, or my outputs. So my first output is minus 2. If I'm to do 3 multiplied by 1 minus 2, 3 multiplied by 1 is 3, take away 2 is 1. Then if I'm to do 3 multiplied by 2, take away 2, 3 multiplied by 2 is 6, take away 2 is 4. Then I do 3 multiplied by 3, take away 2. So 3 multiplied by 3 is 9, take away 2 is 7. And then I'm doing 3 multiplied by 4, take away 2. So 3 multiplied by 4 is 12, take away 2 is 10. So these are my outputs then, and you'll see again that each input has a different output. So none of these inputs give you two outputs, for example. So therefore it is a function. So all you're doing is you're putting in each of these numbers in instead of the x each time. Right, so here's another question then. So it says find the range for the values 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 again. So the function is different this time. This time the function is 4x plus 1. So what you're doing each time, it's like you're putting each of these values in instead of the x each time, so you're going to get a different output. So if I just write down the domain here anyway, the domain is 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Just put in the domain there as well, just so you see the word again. So there, that's the domain, and then your actual function, so the f of x, that's another, just this notation for function again, is 4x plus 1. So if you want to just pause the video now and just try and put each of these into the x part, okay? So remember 4x plus 1 means 4 multiplied by x plus 1, so you're going to do 4 multiplied by 0 plus 1, 4 multiplied by 1 plus 1, and so on. So just try and find your range values now, and then play on the video, and I'll go through the answers. Right, so the first one would be 4 multiplied by 0 plus 1. So 4 multiplied by 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. So my first output is 1. So my first output in the range is 1. Second one is, I'll do 4 multiplied by 1 plus 1. So 4 multiplied by 1 is 1. Sorry, 4 multiplied by 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Then I have to do 4 multiplied by 2 plus 1. So 4 multiplied by 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. Then I have to do 4 multiplied by 3 plus 1. So 4 multiplied by 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13. And then 4 multiplied by 4 plus 1. 4 multiplied by 4 is 16, plus 1 is 17. So these are my outputs then, and it's my range.